What's going on? Big A, the Manky Geek, coming at you with another video. It's not Wednesday, but it is Thursday, and it's time for another edition of my pull list. I'm doing this one a bit different because I wanted to actually kind of read the comics, and I know I don't know what the consensus is with multiple reviews being done in one video, but I am going to try that out this one time and see how it goes, and tell you my opinions on things rather than just saying this is what I got, see you later, which is what I normally do. So yeah, I got a fair amount of things this week that I'm kind of happy with and kind of not so happy with at the same time as well. So we'll just see how this goes and let me know as to whether you like it or not. So first up, the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, #1. This comic is a continuation of Marvel Legacy, which was a surprise. I wasn't expecting it to be anything like that. I was just expecting it to be completely fresh, but it is literally like the kind of next issue of Marvel Legacy. Like that one shot that came out, everything that happened in that meant nothing to me. I was just like, what is this? What is this supposed to be? But things that started off in that have some kind of importance in this, which surprised me and I wasn't expecting. And yeah, this it starts off with like the Avengers 1 million or whatever they're called, the ones from a million years ago, like Odin and like the Phoenix and whatnot. And yeah, something's going on with them, with the Celestials. And then there's something that happens in the present with Celestials just appearing on Earth. And that's pretty much like the main story. And also you've got kind of like your original Tony Stark, Thor, Captain America kind of like getting back together. And it also gets a bit meta. Like there's a panel where Tony's like saying, look, like we're not needed, like times have changed. And Steve says, so have we, Tony. And then Tony says, then we should recognize when it's time to step aside. And then Steve responds with, we did that, now it's time to step up again. In the way only we can. And I was just like, yeah, that's that's kind of like what people have wanted. They've wanted those characters back. And I'm sure there's another bit where they mention what's old is new again as well. And I just think they're totally aware. It seems like the comic is totally aware as to kind of what people are asking for. So they're kind of giving it to us, I guess, in a way. But yeah, there's kind of multiple stories going on in this comic. So you've got that thing with like Steve and Steve, Thor and Tony. And they're investigating some kind of anomaly. And then Carol Danvers is also doing the same thing in space. And then their stories kind of converge at the end. And you've got Robbie Reyes, because Marvel Legacy, he just ended up in Africa, in South Africa. And it was just like, well, how did he get home? Like, I don't know if any comic ever dealt with how Robbie Reyes got back home to, I believe it's LA from South Africa. I mean, did Ghost Rider open up a portal? That's probably the most common sense thing I can think of. But I don't think he bloody drove the whole way, drove over water, drove underwater, or, you know, caught a ferry or a boat. I don't know. But yeah, they never really dealt with that. Unless someone has read something that tells me as to how he got back, I would like to know. And then yeah, we get a little bit of She-Hulk in there, but she just seems angry. Well, that makes sense because she is She-Hulk. But yeah, she's getting street harassed, which is I wasn't expecting at all, which was weird. But yeah, I wasn't too mad at it. I was like, yeah, this is all right. Doctor Strange seems weird though. It doesn't seem how I'd expect him to be. It's like, I'm not sure. Like the arrogance is lacking. I want the arrogance there, you know what I mean? I like it when he's like, thinks he's the man and all that and turns up his nose. But yeah, it was all right. I wasn't angry. It was actually okay. And I also like the fact that the cover isn't the normal crappy Marvel covers. It's actually kind of like that glossy kind of DC stuff, because you can see it there shimmering in the light. And I like that it's not, the ink isn't coming off my hand. I want all Marvel comics to be printed like this in the future. But yeah, in total, I'd say it's all right. It's worth getting. I hope it gets stronger. But yeah, you've got some of your kind of classic characters there. You've got some characters in there that you don't particularly like that much, and they've changed a bit. And some new ones. It's a mixture of old and new, which that's a compromise, so I'm down with that. I was surprised that when Tony saw Carol, he didn't go, "Oh yeah, thanks for putting me in that coma for like a year or whatever," because it was the events of Civil War II that put him in that state anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't be too kind to her if she put me in a coma. Like, I don't know why it's nice to her anyway. Moving on, Spider-Man, and it's the farewell issue, and it's not good. Like, it's literally not good. We get tiny bit of action, which is done in flashback. Miles gets knocked out, wakes up in hospital, and then he's in bed for the rest of the comic. He's in a hospital bed for the rest of the comic, and literally nothing happens. Nothing, not a single thing of any importance happens. It's just people visiting him and being like, "Oh, you okay?" And that is it. And that's the farewell issue. It's like, come on, man. This is the last. If that was me and it was the last issue I was doing, I'd have some sick, crazy things going on. I'd have the hero being the hero and like just doing some awesome stuff, and it'll be the final issue. And I'd do stuff so awesome, people would be like, "Whoa, that's the final issue." I feel like they dropped the ball on this one hard, really hard, harder than they've done ever before with any of the Miles Morales Spider-Man stories. And I'm just like, it's a shame. It's a shame. Like, usually when they end a Miles story, I'm like, "Oh, that was pretty decent." But this is by far the most pointless thing. Unless I'm tripping, which I'm sure I'm not. Cable wanted to recruit him. Why didn't they do something with that? You know what I mean? It's like, introduce that. I think they hint to it towards the end of this, but they don't really go into it. I would like to know when is that going to happen, because I want to see as to what goes on. That's interesting to me, you know what I mean? Cable wants to recruit Miles. It's like, well, what exactly for? Don't tell me he's going to be like traveling all around like different times and dimensions and that or whatever. That would be cool. But yeah, this man, I kind of hated it. Like, this reminds me of the Green Lantern comic I bought back in like what, 97 or 98. That was all about drink driving. And I mean, yeah, I get it and all that. Don't drink drive. But as a 12, 13-year-old buying a comic, I wanted to see cool space shit. And what I got was a don't drink and drive story. This reminds me of that, although there's no kind of moral in this. It's just Spider-Man, or Miles Morales Spider-Man, in bed, and that is it. So yeah, I don't recommend it. I don't think it's that good. Infinity Countdown. I don't know how to feel about Infinity Countdown, because sometimes cool stuff happens, like with Ultron trying to turn Silver Surfer into kind of like a Silver Surfer Ultron, which was pretty cool. And then you've got the Guardians and like Nova fighting off all these Groots and the Chitauri and all this business. And yeah, I like it when stuff like that is going on. And there's this whole thing with the Power Stone, and it's ginormous, and like when they talk about why it's so big and that's all kind of cool, and it is quite action packed. But then it gets weird, and there's a saxophone, and there's the Power Stone, and I think it's supposed to be funny because a character plays the saxophone with the Power Stone in it, and I think that's supposed to be hilarious. But when I saw it, I was just like, why? Like, why? What is the point in that? I think it's supposed to be funny. I can't tell, but it doesn't compute. So yeah, there's that. And I don't know where this, well, actually I do know where this is going, because it's got a character at the end who we all know. I won't spoil that bit for you, but the amount of pages this is, I'm just kind of like, and I want to know what this dwarf is building at the beginning. I don't know what he's building. I mean, I can take a guess, but I'm probably wrong. But I'm willing to stick with it to find out. It's not that I hate it or love it. It's not. I semi-recommend it. I semi-recommend it if you want to know more kind of like, if you want to delve into a little bit of this cosmic space stuff that's currently going on in Marvel, then yeah, but at the moment, I'm just kind of like confused. I want to see like the story really come together because 3 issues in, and it's not. I don't know. I just don't feel any way about it. It's hard. It's hard for me to feel a certain way about something that isn't really kind of delivering the goods. But it's all right. The art's pretty good. You know, you got some good characters in there. The action is probably what's going to keep me reading it because the action is kind of like off the scales. But I mean, if you got a spare change, you can give it a look. Captain America 701. I liked the beginning. I thought the beginning of this was cool with all the stuff in France, and then after that, then the rest of the stuff I was just kind of like yawn. It was quite yawn for me. I was just like, yeah, I'm not. Like I get it, but again, and we've seen Captain America do cool stuff in this issue, but it's not about Captain America. The book is called Captain America, and we're seeing his like distant relative, and I'm just like, oh, come on, man. Like, why? Why? The best issue of like this Mark Waid run of Captain America is the one with Kraven the Hunter on that island, and you know, Cap had to kind of take care of that guy and make sure like he didn't get caught either. And I think, wait, didn't he have like a bomb collar on his neck and all this kind of business? And then Kraven was hunting after them. That was cool. I wish if it was just like random stories like that and the whole kind of riding around America on a bike, like I've said before in the past, that would be cool. But this, it's not cool. It's kind of lame, and I don't recommend it. I can't recommend it because it's not going to give you what you want. It's not going to give you Captain America doing Captain America cool type stuff. It's not. Comics are simple for me. Like, it just has to be cool. Like, if I see cool stuff, I go, whoa, that's cool. That looks cool. And hopefully the writing's on par as well, and the art is on par. And then that's it. The whole thing's cool, and it was a good story. It did what it said it was going to do, and it didn't try to do too much, and it didn't do too little. And it was a satisfying experience to read, and I can recommend it to other people. That's the only thing. That's all I need. But this couldn't even do that. It couldn't even be cool. And that's kind of the least that you can do. The least that you can do is be cool, but it couldn't even do that. So, and then yeah, we get onto the books that I've not read yet. So we've got Nightwing, which, oh man, like ups and downs with Nightwing. Like it got really good at one point, like with that story with the judge. And then you've had these filling issues, and now they started a new story called Bleeding Edge, The Bleeding Edge even. I don't know. I mean, I've had a quick flick through. I'm not really keen on the art. Yeah, I'm not keen on it. I don't know. And like even looking at the first page and all the writing, I'm just like, if you can say in a sentence what you could say in one paragraph, use a sentence. But there's none of that. It's just like paragraphs, paragraphs, paragraphs. And it's just like, oh, come on. So yeah, I've not read it yet. I mean, I probably will read it later in the weekend. And then I also got DC Nation, which was free in my comic book store with any purchase of any comic. So that's pretty good. It's got 3 stories in it apparently, and I'll also be looking forward to giving that a read later as well. So to recap, I got Avengers, which was surprisingly decent. It was pretty good. I'd recommend picking it up. SpiderMan, the worst farewell issue I've ever seen. He's in bed for the whole thing. And it's just such a disappointment because I've been supporting Miles since the beginning and I've enjoyed a lot. And just to see it kind of trip and fall at the finish line so hard is kind of unbelievable. But whatever they do with Miles, I will like support it and see as to what they do with it. And hopefully they'll keep kind of the same kind of tone. I don't want them turning him into some kind of crummy kind of character like, you know, I just don't want them to ruin what's been set up, because I think what's been set up with Miles over the last like 6 or 7 years has actually been kind of good, because he's actually had, although he's not the most interesting character, he's actually had kind of a personality. I want him to maintain his personality. I don't want him to become I don't want him to be anything like Patriot is, for example. Infinity Countdown, yeah, it's all right. There's some supposedly funny moments in there that weren't funny to me. I don't know, maybe I've lost my funny bone and I need to get a new one, or maybe it's the fact that that weird thing that happened in it isn't that funny, but I am gonna stick with it. And then we've also got Captain America, which was lame, but again, I want to see how lame it gets. Now it's become like a game for me. I want to see, can it get any worse? That's what it is for me, so I will be getting the next issue. And then we've got Nightwing, which I'm pretty sure I'm not going to care about anymore, and I'll eventually stop getting, because you got to be consistent. If you're up and down, I can't stick with you. And then DC Nation, which I don't, are they going to do these all the time every now and again, or what? I don't know. But yeah, that's what I got this week. Let me know as to what you got this week, whether you liked or disliked what you got or I got, or as to whether there's anything you think that I should be getting. It's free comic book day this Saturday as well. And yeah, I don't do free comic book day, because literally when you go to when I go to my comic book store on free comic book day, just a long queue outside, and I just, obviously I skip the queue because I don't want any free comics, and they just go right in. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. It's like, yeah, I guess it is a kind of a good way of kind of getting little-ins into comics, but I don't know as to how much it helps. But yeah, I hope anyone who does go to Free Comic Book Day has a nice time. And can you get them on Comixology? Because if so, I'm going to get that Boku no Hero Academia one, because I quite like that. And I got 2 volumes of the manga, and I watched the show, and I think it's dope. But anyway, stick around and watch another video if you want as well. Let me know as to what you thought of this longer format multiple review. I know some people don't like multiple reviews in one video, but I thought, you know what, screw it, I'll give it a go. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one.